Our session covered what we could potentially learn from Royal Commission. So we considered HIH Royal Commission and the current Royal Commission and tried to distill what this means for actuaries and where we might be able to contribute to the discussion.
It struck us that actuaries responded quite proactively and positively to the HIH Royal Commission. One of our key takeouts was we feel that's what we should be trying to do again this time around with the current Royal Commission. And we think that will lead to good outcomes for our profession and also for the community. So the Institute was very lucky to have a great panel this morning, and including Neville Owen, who actually was the HIH Royal Commissioner, who's a very clear thinker and obviously the expert on what he did in that Royal Commission. And we also had two eminent actuaries, two ex-presidents, Tony Coleman and Estelle Pearson, both of whom were very involved in the response to that Royal Commission. So consequently, I was in the lucky position that I didn't really need to explain much about what had happened with HIH because those folks had already done it in the session before us. Post that HIH Royal Commission, the role of actuaries became much clearer, but it's worth saying the focus even then was much more about financial management of general insurance companies, whereas now in the current environment, the focus is much more about conduct and how companies can make sure that they treat their customers and the community fairly.
I think just to add that expectations have changed. Society's expectations of organisations, insurers are wrapped up in that space. And that means that as a profession, we think that we can have a sort of a role to play in informing the discussion around where perhaps insurers should sit, how community expectations impact what insurers do. And there are a variety of areas where actuaries can contribute to the discussion. And I think the key skill of actuaries is really around reflecting the different perspectives of various stakeholders and bringing issues to the attention of the appropriate party. So I think certainly actuaries have a role to play in helping assist in that discussion. While HIH was quite focused in terms of reference, this Royal Commission is quite broad, but nevertheless there is certainly a role for actuaries to play. I think we have a unique sort of set of skills. I think the other takeaway really is around getting the balance right between different components. So it's very easy to look at the press of late and to latch on to specific issues, but in terms of making changes, I think it's important to bring in the broader context.
And I think we'd see actuaries, part of our role, or one way to put it, as we should be informing the conscience of companies. Maybe not being the conscience, but informing the conscience.